You are listening to a Dynamicworksproductions podcast. This show is available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio Network, and many, many more podcast services around the world. You can find all our content, music, videos, books, podcasts, and more on our website, www.dynamicworksproductions.com. Have questions, comments, or concerns for us? Head on over to the social tab on www.dynamicworksproductions.com if you'd like to talk to us. Now, on with the show. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fork in Your Ear podcast. I'm your host, as always, author, podcaster, gamer, and streamer, Tim K. Trotter. Joining me from a toasty, chroma keyed beachside fire is the one, the only, the natiest of foos, Nate Foo.
Good evening.
Good evening to you. I hope you're having a good evening. Legitimately.
Ish. Yeah. It's been a weird one. Yeah.
Oh my god, same. So I guess do we want any accoutrements or talkies, or do we want to just get into it?
Let's get into it.
I
don't have a whole lot of accoutrement this week. I've been just
my week's been a roller coaster of it's a fucking roller coaster of something, I tell you what. All right, we've landed on Earth, and I don't have my Discord pulled up. Awesome. Pulling it up now, though. I'm pulling it up.
It's hiding behind. I want to say that's tech,
though. Earth is tech? That doesn't seem... Okay, and I haven't used Discord on Mac in a while, so everything's coming in.
Earth is tech.
Earth is tech. Well, yeah, that's a good fucking.
It has been a very news light kind of.
Yeah. The only thing I can say, I didn't post anything. The only tech thing that I've read lately is I've heard Supreme Court might do a forced ban on TikTok due to China's apparently still has been grabbing the data from the American servers since the beginning of the year. I heard that pop up yesterday, actually, because I was scrolling through YouTube and Jessica was like, click on that, because as she was watching TikTok. I was like, okay. The only other thing I can say is people are pretty displeased with the M2 in the new Mac line in general.
Right.
Which is not terribly surprising given the fact that it is the base chip. And if their previous lineup is to be believed with the Pro, the Max, and the Ultra, I don't know why people are surprised.
Right.
But the bigger surprise is something that Apple didn't say that the testers are saying, which is if you have either the new MacBook Air or the new MacBook Pro with M2, and for whatever fucking reason, you got the 256 SSD version, that SSD is half as fast as last generation's SSD.
Why?
My
Error
guess
in judgment
would be
or cost cutting?
SSD cost cutting, 100%.
Okay.
You know, if you're getting a 256, you're not doing what we're doing, you know.
Right.
So that's you know, and the only thing I can say on that is this is something that was replicated on the iPhone 13 Pro actually.
Mhm.
Was if you had the 256 gigabyte, you could not shoot the ProRes video.
Right.
And my understanding is that the M2 is based off of the iPhone 13 Pro's I don't even know what a series chip it has, but it's a 5 nanometer chip. It's a 5 nanometer
Right.
plus chip, you know, that weird in between, because we decided to add some time because TSMC was like, yo, we are so working on 3 and 2 nanometer, but we're not quite there yet.
Right.
We did not make that mark, even though they've been kicking ass in that realm. So that'd be my guess.
That's the other thing I've been hearing about the whole M2 thing is people were expecting it is when it's got a bigger number, so it's got to be better. And
it is.
It is
It's
marginally
better than
at
the M1.
half the size. Yeah.
You know, and I don't know why people are surprised by that.
Right.
You know, and like it has some legitimate new things in it. You know, we talked about it at the Apple thing. They've got the new media encode decode stuff.
Right.
It's got a much more advanced GPU with more base cores.
Mhm.
You know, and it's a smaller nanometer. So for all the laptops, you're gonna get better battery life, just hands down. That's how that shit works.
Like stupid, ridiculous battery life.
Well, and the M1 had stupid, ridiculous battery life. You know, it's ridiculous.
I want to say it was either Verge or somewhere like they ran the standard, like they read the standard laptop test, you know, and they ran one of their own, and they were like, I use this thing all day, like as a computer.
Yep.
And ended up getting 20 hours as a compute device, as a daily driver, and that wasn't just sitting there running a looped video encode or.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's absurd.
Yeah, I mean,
so
it's to be expected of a very mature. Like that's the other thing that people don't realize. You know, like these M1 chips. Yes, they're technically new chips, but they are based on the ultra refined, fucking tested to the nines, stuff of what's in my iPhone from a year ago. You know, and it's like this is just the Biggie Boy version, and it's like I don't know why people are
because the last leap was so
the last leap was
significant,
huge, but it was also a totally new architecture for desktop. You know, sure, there was a variant of ARM for Windows, and Linux has had it for years, but it's like, you know, Apple was the first one to go, no, we are all in on this, and this is the way we're moving, you know? And then, you know, everybody else followed and or played catch up.
Right. Like I'm legit proud of Apple for pushing things, because it's again it's telling Intel to get off their butts. And
well, and you know, and honestly, I expected Intel to be fucking down in the gutter, and honestly, they came back pretty strong. You know,
it's almost like they had stuff that they were just holding back because there was no reason to release
it's
it.
possible,
right?
Because you know this is a company that's been around as long as IBM, you know, and it's like, well, they could.
No reason to market it. We're selling like gangbusters, and then Apple went and dropped dropped the deuce on them, and they went,
deuce.
Right, we have this stuff.
Yeah,
we're good. And it sure is it. Are they beating Apple now? But
yeah,
they're not languishing.
Speaking of Apple, the only other thing I could think of I read recently, which I feel like I read before already or even talked about, but it's coming up because we have nothing for tech, is the chief financial security officer, or the vice president of it for Apple, pleaded guilty to embezzling $12 million. Oh, just 12 million.
Just 12.
That's
biggie.
like, what? Like,
that's a drop in the bucket.
It is for that, but still, it's like, it just seems so dumb. Like I can't imagine if you're a vice president of anything in Apple, you're not fucking paid so goddamn well. Like I can't.
And it gets to a point where you just get bored, so you just start trying things.
I mean, I guess like it's fucking
Let's see if I can con a yacht out of this.
I guess, yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. It's like, oh, I need another yacht. I want to race my yachts or something. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. Like,
crazy.
I don't know. I don't even know what I would do if I had $1 million, other than obviously pay off all my debts.
Right.
That'd be, most people in our, I suppose, income suburbia level would be like, yep, pay off my debts, and then I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a whole lot left over. Like if I paid off my house,
I don't
yeah, well, if I paid off my house, paid off both my cars, and then paid down all my debts, I might have. I'd have less than a year's worth of wages left.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, like $1 million wouldn't go far, especially if that was $1 million pre-tax.
Speaking of millions, another thing, because I'm just remembering things as I go. I saw it on a YouTube video last night from Spawnwave, so I don't know if this is entirely accurate. He's usually pretty good reporting. But there was an investors meeting for Nintendo, and they had Nintendo raised the red flag for the investors because they're spending $60 million on raw computer materials, like bins and barrels of fucking boron and lithium and raw stuff. And I'm
sure. They're building Terminators.
That's not surprising.
Yeah.
In the slightest. And their official statement was something like, we can't accurately anticipate what the next 2 years climate for producing product is going to be. So we're just getting the stuff while we can get it at this price, taking the hit because we think that it's going to go up again.
Right.
And the only reason that this raised alarms for technologists, other than the fact that it made some news, and that's an awful lot. Like that's definitely more than what Sony's purchasing. That's for sure. Is the last time this happened, and everybody was like, "Oh my god, it's going to be the Super Switch or the Switch Ultra or the Switch 2 or whatever," and then it ended up being the Switch OLED.
Right.
So people are like, "Okay, they're literally stocking up for it," and I'm like, "Well, you're Nintendo and your Switch is still selling like hotcakes. Like, for all you know, this could be for just more fucking Switches,
right?
Or it could be for a new model. It's hard to say."
Although now that the Steam Deck is actually shipping.
Stream Deck's that other thing you can get on Amazon.
Right. Yeah, the Steam Deck. It might push Nintendo to legit consider releasing the Switch Pro.
So, on that same topic, something that did come out of that investors thing was Nintendo said that they were concerned about their release window for the next whatever's after Switch. And they stated in the meeting that, they waited too long with the Wii U, and they waited for the sales to die down on the Wii before they released the Wii U. And then the Wii U came out, and everybody's like, why do we need that?
Right.
And it also came out in between the generations. It came out just at a fucking piss poor time. And so they did say that they were concerned about their timing for that and making sure that they don't repeat the mistake of the Wii U. And that was something that came up in this investor meeting. Also, what came up in this investor meeting, which is hilarious, was somebody bought $40 worth of Nintendo stock and was able to legitimately lodge a query, and he bought this $40 to ask Nintendo if they were ever going to make a new F-Zero.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Which is hilarious, and they had to answer because he's a fucking shareholder.
He's an investor.
Yeah, and their official response was that all of their third party hires and internal remakes, ports, or sequel projects, that they were at capacity at present, and that F-Zero was not on that slate. So I was like, well, you got a legitimate, real answer,
right?
Which is a hilarious way to go about it, in my opinion.
Can they beat around the bush for a long way of saying, nah?
Well, I mean, they legitimately said nah.
Yeah.
For the perceivable next couple of years of their release cycle.
It's got a little bit of a cult following. I swear. I've never
Nintendo
played
or F-Zero.
F-Zero.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. I played F-Zeros. I played every one except the one on the GameCube. Which also is really strange because it also came out in arcades. Which is wait, what? F-Zero, okay, that's dog woofson there. I don't think I could edit that one out. That was loud as hell.
That was good.
Oh god,
there it is.
Damn it. Yeah, well, I'm setting fireworks off already. So.
Oh yeah, that's happening here too.
So, F-Zero is a good game. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a hovercraft futuristic racing game. And I think the strange part of the obsession with F-Zero, to me, as someone who does legitimately like racing games, like, it's a pure racing game. Like, there's no weapons, there's no Mario Kart items. There's like a boost pad and like a refueling thing, and that's it.
Right.
Because if you compare that to Wipeout, which has been killed by PlayStation, that studio who made it, is the same exact thing, but with weapons.
Right.
Yeah.
It harkens back to the days of pole position and Outrun.
I mean, yeah. I mean, definitely F-Zero does go back that far. For sure. Man, I was not expecting you to pull out pole position.
Yeah, but I mean that era of games where it wasn't about weapons, even modifying the vehicle so much. It's a racer.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the obsession is necessarily with F-Zero. I think they're fantastic games, but it's also just like, you can get that fix in indie games, and I realize it's not the same color palette, but they're pretty close. That's all I can think of for tech. I don't have anything else, really.
Yeah, I think we're gonna actually have a short one this week because
it's possible.
Pretty dry. It's been pretty dry news wise.
It's been a little dry. There's been some stuff happening on the gaming front. Let's spin it. Oh, okay. Well, I didn't want to get into this yet, but we landed on fire, which I'm positive is Life Stories. What you got,
Let's
Nate?
double check. It is Life Stories.
Yeah. Are you
Friday
still employed?
I am still employed.
Okay.
As of Friday, though, our manager of the last 4 years has stepped down.
Oh. Okay.
So we are winging it.
Yikes.
They never filled his position.
Yikes.
Yeah. And they actually promoted one of my coworkers to an assistant manager, which was kind of funny. I kind of saw that writing on the wall. We're a union shop, so every posting has to be, or every job has to be posted on a board for everyone to bid on, et cetera. And as soon as I saw it, and I saw the posting for assistant manager, I look at the boss and I go, "Is that for who I think it is? Is it earmarked?" And he goes, I can't say that per union rules, but I'm like, cool.
Okay.
I won't apply for it because again, like the guy that was going for was could I have staked a claim to it? Sure. Um, it would have just been a dick move though. So let it ride. His signed his new job title on Friday, and then yeah, we went out and had a real barn burner of a send off.
Hmm. Okay.
Oh, but yeah, it's we're going into a buyout, no manager. I don't know how if this is going to end up. It's just I 2 episodes from now I might be going. So I'm looking for jobs. This
Cool.
point.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. And I hope you land on your feet or do whatever you got to do, man.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm sure I'll land somewhere. I've been at this gig for 17 years. It's that looks real good on a resume.
Yep.
Um,
Sure
and a lot of
does.
people that have jumped ship have already said, you're looking. Here's our number.
Okay.
So
Well,
I could go work directly for one of our competitors at this point.
yeah.
So
There you go. Well, that is that all the life you got going on? How are your kids? Miraculous or
they're my
hell
kids.
scallions?
They are my kids.
Okay, we're going in the middle.
They
Take
are.
a long breath. Okay. The nose rub.
They have been. They have been driving their mother absolutely batshit crazy. Like
Okay.
we're on summer break, so they spend every waking moment together. And this last week has been my wife looking at me going, "Take them. I'm leaving. I'm going. I'm hopping in your car and I'm driving around for an hour. Just I don't want to hear from them. I don't want to be touched by them. I don't want to be touched by anything."
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's see. So, do we start with my marriage problems? Do we start with family members about to die? Do we start with work?
Well, family members about to die is kind of a like if you on any timeline that's going to be pretty standard.
Yeah. So, so this is on my my new extended family side, on the in-laws side. So apparently, um, Jessica's grandmother on her mom's side,
Mm-hmm.
who's had
Lives down here, right?
lives down
Okay.
in California, who's had like advanced stage Alzheimer's for like the last 4 years, and they gave her 6 months to live 5 years ago, kind of thing.
Right.
I guess Tuesday she stopped swallowing, and then Wednesday my in-laws flew down there because the grandpa said, "It's time. We're calling the priest. I'm going to pull the plug."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Yeah, well, like, what else are you going to do? You're preparing for this for 5 years, and
Right.
It happens.
Sucks.
I mean, it happened already this year to grandmother on the Trotter side.
Yeah.
So it was like, but like I don't like I've seen this grandmother, like I've never met her. Like I've seen her on a like Amazon Echo family video call,
Right.
like
On a
5
Skype
years
call,
ago.
basically. Yeah.
When she was maybe a little more coherent, but still not so coherent. So I'm like, I don't, I'm just trying to.
You don't have a meaningful connection.
I don't have a dog in this race,
right?
Other than I married the people at the racetrack. I don't know how you.
Sure.
I don't know how you work that terminology. I don't know.
Yeah, while it's not affecting you emotionally, you know it's going to affect Jess.
Right. And I'm trying to like be supportive, and like I'm being like a little extra about it, but it's just like annoying her to no end. And then Shark Week started, and so it has just been
all bets are off.
It's been, I know those
Tim can do no right.
Those oh fuck, man.
Yeah.
Bro, I was just trying to cook us some hamburgers tonight, man. You know, and like I went shopping with her today, you know, which, you know, already was a bad idea. Let's go shopping on fucking 4th of July weekend.
Right.
You know, and I'm like trying to be helpful and like just not letting me help at all and being annoyed with me being there. And I'm just like, which sucks because like yesterday was great. We just hung out, we watched the finale of Stranger Things, and
I heard it was pretty good.
It was pretty darn solid. I mean, it's not the finale of the show. There's still going to be a 5th season, but it is a good. It was definitely more epic than it's been, but we can get into that in entertainment.
Yes.
You know, and then like, you know, just ongoing, you know, marital issues compounded by family members dying, compounded by Shark Week, and I'm just like, I can't do anything right, and I feel like shit and not a good husband. And just fucking kill me, Nate.
Yeah. No, I get it. That's one of those. Get married, it comes and goes. It comes with the territory. Like because you know, wife being a teacher, there are 2 months of every year where we're a single income household.
That's right.
And that's all fine and good as long as we prepare for it and everything.
Sure.
But in the last, we still got a month to go. In the last month, I have unoverdrawn the joint account no less than 25 times.
Unoverdrawn?
Yes,
like
as
you
in I put money,
overdrawn and then like, oh,
she overdrew
oh
it.
shit, and then you have to
Right.
put money in. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just trying to get the term because I was like,
no less than 25 times, and it's like, I look at her, I go, I understand, you know, like there's the time of the year that, you know, when the auto pay car insurance goes through, I don't mind that one.
Sure.
Right. When the car payment goes through, I don't mind that one so much. But when Starbucks overdraws us,
yeah,
come on.
that's like, okay.
Right?
Like
and if I don't catch it right away, that, you know, that $7 latte that put us $2 under is now a $38
becomes $38, becomes $50, etc. Yeah.
Right. That's a real damn expensive latte.
Oh yes.
So
yeah. You know, it's whole thing. And then my work stuff is super stressful. So I think I've mentioned.
Is it starting to pick up everything? Because I remember you were sitting in a holding pattern waiting for stuff to come through.
Uh-huh.
I'm assuming that dam broke.
Yes and no would be the answer to that. Is
okay.
We are in the sticky situation of having promised perhaps, knock on wood, and arrivals of shipments more than we can actually deliver. And we got some stuff just before the holiday weekend here, of which I checked, and one of the motors was fucking cracked. And I tested it, and it didn't fucking work. And I'm like, great. Perfect. Awesome. You know? And then our huge shipment that's actually supposed to come via freight, supposed to be here day after the 4th. And we have stuff booked out as far as the fucking eye can see. Assuming it arrives on the 5th, and I check all fucking 19 of them. I don't know how I'm going to do that in a day. So we'll fucking, you might be dealing with a very tired Tim come next podcast.
Oh, am I going to have to schedule the replacement?
Oh. I mean, I don't know.
That would be a first in the fork.
That would be. That would be. I don't think I've ever had that.
Tim does not actually host one.
Yeah, I think that's happened on all of my podcasts, like a handful of times. So yeah. I don't know. I've prepared my lunches and stuff, and tried to get myself in the right mindset and whatnot. And our weather's being super fucking weird.
Right?
Because a couple of days ago it was so fucking hot. It was actually super hot in my garage, and I was trying to do this work in the garage, and then at 3 o'clock I was just like, I can't even fucking focus on what I'm doing because it's so fucking hot in here. And I was like, I'm just gonna fucking call it, and I'm gonna fucking do it early in the morning, day after 4th of July, while I'm waiting for the freight to show up.
Speaking of which, I hear fireworks.
Yep. Gonna be fireworks. A lot of them, apparently.
It's finale time. Yeah.
So I got that going on. Like, it's great. Like, we're gonna have like it's the good problem to have, where it's like, man, we have so much fucking work and we're gonna make so much money, but also like we have to we're basically condensing like multiple months worth of work into a month, perhaps.
Right.
and I'm like,
there's a legit risk that you could do some reputational damage if something doesn't go right.
There's a little bit of a risk, yeah. There's a little bit of a risk. It's all going to depend on what happens on the 5th and the quality of what arrives. And you look like you're being beamed up to the Enterprise. Yeah. You look like me on my streams. When it hits a certain time of day.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm attempting to have a nice breezy weekend, and it's not quite happening.
Right.
And the wife works tomorrow, and I'll probably be editing this show and hopefully relaxing. And we're going over to our friends on Monday, and I think I'm seeing my parents on Monday too, like a game of cards or something.
For some 4th shenanigans.
The friends or the parents? Parents are just going to be some cards.
Okay.
Light 4th shenanigans with the friends. This would be our moderator of Fork, Daniel. He's doing a little 4th of July compared to last year's 4th of July, because he needs to save money because he's fucking moving back east like real fucking soon, which is going to be a very sad day indeed.
We're keeping it very, very light this year because we're not feeling real American these days.
Well, to each his own.
Right.
Yeah, man. Like, there's a lot going on in life. It's just trying to,
just take it one bite at a time.
I'm still streaming a lot when I can, but at the same time, I'm also been pretty quiet on streams lately because I'm just trying to fucking do stream thing, but also like this is my time to potentially recoup some sanity.
Right.
So that's what's been going on.
Honestly, that's one of the reasons I stopped streaming. I streamed in December, and it just got to a point where going live meant I had to be on, and I couldn't actually just sit and enjoy, or even I couldn't even legitimately rage at whatever game I was playing. Like if something pissed me off, it was like, all right, I've got a camera on me. I can't go on a profanity laced tirade. I mean, I could, but not good for the brand.
I mean, I don't know. I do that, but
right, right. But again, I have to remember I've got this little thing staring at me here, and it was just like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to. I don't want to go through the prep time. I don't want to go through any of this. I
I mean,
just
there's
want to get
definitely a
in.
little bit of prep time,
Yeah,
especially if I'm
yeah,
using Switch or Xbox.
yeah, yeah. Oh, you
That's
told
the
me all
best.
the shit you had to go through with the PlayStation and
Yeah.
getting all your sources right. It's just like,
Well, if
just
I'm doing just myself, if the game is happy with it,
Mhm.
I can use the stream rig. But if I'm doing
Right.
multiplayer, I literally cannot use the card. Like there's just no way. It doesn't feed the audio correctly. Because the PlayStation just doesn't do that. It's dumb. I complain about it every fucking Tuesday.
Yeah. So again, it got to the point where it's just like, do I want to sit here and go through even 15 minutes of prep time to then have to be on a camera when I just want to turn my brain off for fucking 1 hour.
I mean, I have two solves in my head for that that I've both done in the recent months. When it was with Elden Ring, and obviously when I was super doing Elden Ring every day. And then there was just some days where after work or whatever, or I actually had work that day, for example. And I'd still stream, but I would just let people know. I was like, all right, I'll do on camera, but I'm not doing mic tonight. I'll just put it in the title,
Mm-hmm.
or I'll put it in the chat, or sometimes I was doing stuff late night, or I think like Saturdays or something like that. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm just streaming, but no mic, no camera. If you want to check out the thing, sure.
Right.
And I feel like that's a pretty workable solution. And then the other thing is, I think it was this week already. I did 2 streams of Kirby.
Yeah, I saw one of them.
Yeah, and I think the first one, by the end, I was like, I'm not feeling it, kids. I'm gonna pop off. And then the second one was a little more lively, I think. But I also had like less time there. I don't know. There's like a weird thing about like if I know I can like stream for like 2 hours, I'm pretty solid. But if it's like, oh, I'm home at noon, I guess I'll stream. I don't know. Like
Right.
it's a whole thing. But you can look at the annals of history and Google archives of all the streamers and stuff, and like, all right, I'm taking a break. My fucking mental health's out the shitter, or my fucking health's out the window, or whatever.
Right.
I mean, it's true.
Yep.
And I think
And sometimes they take breaks and they never come back, and sometimes
sure,
they take breaks and they come back completely different, recharged and renewed.
100%, 100%.
So,
See it happen all the time.
yep.
And I think that's an interesting thing because I feel like with like what we do with podcasting, like I feel like you can definitely burn out. Like I've definitely burned out more than once. Did something just fucking fall out of your headset right there?
No, that's what I was looking for earlier. Apparently I picked them up and one of the side plates come off.
You just got plates falling off your headset? What the fuck? What? Why? For like cleaning? Is that what that is?
No, you can put custom ones on.
Oh.
Open ear design, and you buy the new plates. They're magnetic.
Okay, whatever floats your boat, man. Whatever floats your boat.
I love my Astros, but yeah, I was like, oh, that's a feature. Great. That's something I'm going to lose. But you can also, because these are open ear, you can get a retaining ring that goes in,
sure,
makes them basically closed ear.
Okay, well, I mean that's nice to have an option. Some people like different.
Mm-hmm.
What's the word? Room resonance, I think, when it comes to.
And then, of course, the mic. Put it on the side.
Oh, okay.
Or.
Oh, okay.
Plate.
Okay.
That.
Yeah. All right. Here's I don't have any of that. I have the Xbox Anniversary headset, and then I've got these studio monitors. That's what I got. Yeah, so life is, man, I don't know. I
You'll find a way through, and we'll laugh at
I
this on
will, or
episode
you'll be getting some
180
calls from
whatever.
me.
Yeah,
Because
which
there was actually
obviously is always an option as well.
it is, and I might start utilizing that perhaps more, especially now friendos moving time zones.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, like we'll see. There was a couple of times where I almost reached for it, but then other shit happened. So I don't know. I'm ready to move off of life and talk about something a little more joyous.
Spin it.
We got air. What's air?
No, we didn't.
No,
Air is video game.
Oh, nice. Video games.
Video games.
Did you get any chances to play anything?
I beat Turtles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I unlocked Casey Jones.
Oh, that's what you get for beating the game is Casey Jones.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I know a lot of people are super stoked that you can play him.
Right.
Because he, if I'm not mistaken, he has not been playable in a Turtles game.
Not an arcader. I think he was in one of. But yeah,
Okay.
Sure. Even if he wasn't, then great, he is, and I'm not horribly impressed with him.
Okay.
He's kind of a one-note character. My favorite character as of yet, after playing, is I've level 10 a few of them now. I went through and level 10 Donnie because he's my go-to.
Sure.
I level 10 Roth.
Okay.
Because I figured he would be the toughest, being he was so very short range. Leo's kind of a one note. Mikey's good.
Sure.
But April is my absolute favorite character.
I almost
she
played
can
her.
juggle. She can juggle enemies so badass.
She uses a mic, right?
Mm-hmm. And a camera.
Okay, that's pretty fucking awesome, honestly.
Right.
So like that's just cool. That's just cool.
Yeah, but she does like a bicycle kick. So when you do her up attack, her up angle attack, she'll bicycle kick people, and you can sit there and just chain people. Whereas everyone else kind of does like a basic uppercut or something. So yeah, she juggles very nicely, and it's gotten me out of some some pretty nice combos, and it's gotten me out of some where I should have gotten, or I would have gotten smacked from above.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. Yeah, I've yet to return to that game. I think I hollered at you once a week ago, but you were not really there or something, or something.
Yeah.
For it. So yeah, I've yet to return.
I was lifing up the life. Yeah.
Lifing up the life. Okay.
If you saw me playing, I was probably like this whole week. If I'd been playing it, I was over at the brother-in-law's house, and I don't have a headset.
Gotcha.
So
fair enough. Did you? So in your Turtles history of video games, where does it rank since it's a neo retro kind of game?
I don't know where I'd rank them because I haven't played a ton of them. I played a little bit of Turtles in Time, and honestly, that was my least favorite.
Okay.
I know that's sacrilege for a lot of people.
I understand that can be sacrilege for people.
The Game Boy one was one of my favorites, if not my favorite.
Okay.
The original, and then of course the arcade cabinet. That's always just tops. And this comes very, very close to absolutely recreating that feeling.
Yeah. With a few modern sprinkles on top.
Right? Like as far as where it sits it'd probably be my favorite, short of the cabinet.
Wow. That's pretty cool. Did you get to play anything else this week? Or last week, for that matter, since we're a bi-weekly show?
No, I haven't.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. All this good stuff came out. I just updated Fall Guys because that's apparently it got its latest expansion.
I don't know about its latest expansions, but it just went multi-platform and free to play.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking everything.
On everything.
And I wasn't paying attention to this, but since that started out as PlayStation Plus freebie. That's one that I played extensively with my PlayStation boys. I saw that there was an update on Tuesday when I usually play with them, and then they were like, "We're not fucking playing it," and I was like, "Why?" And then they're like, "Well, all those fucking crowns that we've been banking." They're like, "What?" And it's like apparently they got rid of them, and I was like, "The fuck!" Like they got rid of the currency. As I forget an alarm.
So it goes.
So I haven't looked into that to see if that's the case. I know that they've had some problems with their multi-plat launch. So I don't.
Some of the matchmaking has been like same thing with Turtles. Apparently, if you weren't on Xbox, if you were on Steam, it was nearly impossible to actually multi-plat.
Yeah. So okay, I didn't know that you'd played Fall Guys before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when it first came out, it was the rage and it was the party game, and it's still a good party game.
Yeah,
but as popular as it was, it fell off almost as fast as it got popular.
Sure, and I think it's been trucking along because they're Epic now.
Right.
That studio.
And part of the problem was the cross-platform being so janky. If you could do it, like I could play with Steam players, and that's it.
Well, what always curious me? Yep, that's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
It always curious me that Mediatonic, the developers of that game, got purchased by Epic, but they're a Unity game, and that just always seemed super weird to me. And I was always kind of waiting for Big Daddy Epic to come in and like, all right, here's the Unreal version,
Right.
So I don't
And
know.
who knows? Maybe that'll happen.
I'm sure it will, and I know in the Rocket League front, that was always a big deal because that was made using Unreal Engine 3.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 to 4 was a messy transition. And obviously they're on 5 now. And
right.
I haven't played Rocket League in a very hot all year. I was going to say a hot minute, but I was like, that's not genuine. And I remember last time the roadmap for that was that it was going to happen, that it was finally going to get upgraded. But that was a very complicated thing since Unreal Engine 3 wasn't built for the modern consoles, and the Switch one had to have a special port because Unreal 3 was never made for Switch, just for starters. And that was done by a whole different team and all sorts of crazy ass shit. So my kind of thought when they bought Mediatonic was like, oh, they're probably sending some engineers to get fucking started on let's port all this to Unreal as fast as fucking possible so that we don't have a fucking problem down the line. Because their problem when they acquired the Rocket League devs was they acquired them like 4 years after them being continuously popular. And even though they used their engine, they used their old engine because that's what their devs knew and stuff. And there's a whole thing, and I don't know if it got resolved. So anyway, I'm sure they'll figure it out. They're Epic. They got money and engineers.
Right.
So I have played to completion. I've played the Sonic Origins collection on Nintendo Switch. I streamed. I won't say the 100% of the thing because there are times where I got offline and then I was playing it in bed.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, please don't stream that.
Playing it in bed. Sure, it's just gonna be me like fucking 2 inches from my face because I don't have glasses or contacts in, and that's how close I need it to be to see it.
Right.
So Sonic Origins. Everybody knows on the show I'm the Sonic guy, and
you are the Sonic fanboy.
This collection, I am loath to say, is unfortunately not perfect. And it has a very complicated thing that spiraled out into Twitter fights from the people who actually made the game, to all kinds of crazy shit, including Michael Jackson and company. Like just absolute
the music, right?
insanity. So here's what Fork fam should know about this game. This game contains Sonic 1, 2, 3, Sonic and Knuckles, and Sonic CD in one collection anniversary package. These are not ports. These are created using the Retro Engine, which was last used for the award-winning Sonic Mania game. And this was developed in conjunction between a studio called Headcanon, which was one of the studios who made Sonic Mania, who worked with a developer known as Christian Whitehead, who is the actual programmer of the Retro Engine. And they did not have Christian Whitehead on this project. So Sonic 1, 2, and Sonic CD actually reuse the code from their already ports to the Retro Engine. So those in the package are actually the most solid and the most polished of them. Whereas Sonic 3 / Sonic and Knuckles, because they counted as one game in the collection, but in history it was two cartridges and they locked onto each other for those Genesis kids like myself. And so this port was newly done. And as we've now found out, like 1 hour after it was released, the developer at Headcanon was like, yeah, we had like less than a year when Sonic approached us to do this, or when Sega approached us to do this. And he's like, I'm going to be straight up, like, we did our damnedest and we worked the longest hours, but I'm going to be totally honest, there were a lot of bugs.
Okay.
And he said, you know, I'm proud of what we did at Headcanon, and he said the biggest problem was actually that they submitted their final build for Sonic Origins 2 months before June 28th when the game launched. And he's like, and we had no idea that they were going to do this whole 3D interface that uses the current Sonic the Hedgehog engine, version 2. And it was going to be a front runner and it was going to boot into the Retro Engine. He's like, that fucking broke everything.
Sure.
And
that seems wholly unnecessary.
I mean, yes and no. On the one hand, so like I said, Sonic 1, 2, and Sonic CD already had their ports in this engine, or not ports, their remakes would be a better term, because they're not, or a remaster, right? It's hard to delineate where new and old begins, because it is technically, it's the exact assets, but everything behind the scenes is fancy modern code.
Sure.
That does everything it can to replicate how the Genesis ran these games, which is totally different than, you know, it's just an emulation. You're just using the
So you got a front end that boots into an emulator.
No. You have a front end that is the modern Sonic the Hedgehog 3D engine.
Right.
That then boots into another engine that itself is different versions of the Retro Engine for these remakes that have already been done, that then overlays stuff into it, from the start screen to extra shit that's part of the collection to all this other stuff that's like what I believe was intended to be icing on the cake for these old games remastered. And it just straight up fucking broke stuff. And it's weird because I've played all the games to completion, bugs and all, and yes, they run at 60 frames a second. Yes, they boot very quickly, and yes, for the most part, They are as you remember them, but better than you remember them because they actually are better. But as you begin to play them, the longer you play them, shit just starts breaking.
Right.
And I mean, like, stuff that should never be broken. And if you've played the originals, which these are attempting to be, right? You're just like, nope, that's not. You should not be able to jump through an enemy and you can't fucking hit him. You show up to the boss in Sonic 3 and you remember he's this floating thing in a forest and he's just white. He's just completely white for no reason at all. And you're just like, what? And he's just like glitching through the pixels. And you're like, what? What? You know? Or the worst offender, particularly in Sonic 3, is so have you ever played an original Sonic game?
Yes.
So
the original.
Yeah, so you know that Sonic can get crushed by objects or quote unquote pinched. You know, if your sprite is between two blocks and they're adjacent to each other and then he's pinched, he dies, right? So sometimes that will happen with such a distance that you can see with the graphics that are being rendered that you're like feel like you're playing a fucking online multiplayer game and you're like, there's no fucking way that guy shot me.
Right.
You know, and you're just like, what fucking killed me? What fucking killed me? So
wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, so the Sonic Diehards, which this is very squarely, clearly aimed at because it's the original games remastered with modern tech. You know, they're not happy, and you know, and neither is the fucking developer who was working with the Retro Engine to make these things possible. You know, and he's like gone on record stating that, you know, he was basically given a deadline sometime last year of it had to be out by Sonic's 35th anniversary, which was the date that it released on. You know, no pushbacks. You know, and he's like, well, I think we can do that because we've already done Sonic 1 and 2 and CD, and we just need to do Sonic 3 and Knuckles and stuff, you know. And he's gone on record. You can go on his Twitter, you know, and it sucks because like reading it, it's like, man, I feel like you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot here. Like like from the outside looking in, I feel like you're shooting yourself in the foot, like talking about this stuff that I'm sure you're not supposed to talk about.
Right. Don't talk about the shutout when the game's still going.
Yeah, you know. But like he posted like this like 12 Twitter string like an hour after this stuff came out. It was all over Reddit and all over gaming sites and all sorts of stuff. You know, and he was just like, he's like, we did our best. Like, he's like, we needed more time. Like, it's not the same quality as we put out for the previous remasters. And he's like, basically, like, I'm sorry. Like, he's like, I want to do a bug patch. He's like, I currently don't have a contract with Sega. He's like, I'm one of like the handful of people on the planet who knows how this fucking Retro Engine works. And he's like, all I can do is say you fans need to say that it needs to happen. You know? So, like, on the one hand, it is amazing to play all of the original 2D Sonic games in one place, in one collection. That's really cool. To Sega's credit, their 3D interface looks fucking cool. It's like this 3D, but kind of in the art style of the old 2D games, where it shows like basically like a 3D version of what one would assume if there was like a world map, which there isn't in the old Sonic games for like each game. You can like look around and they got cool stuff. I just want to make sure that you're still with me because you went super pixely for me, by the way, on Skype.
Oh,
You dropped down to 8-bit.
It's the joys of doing updates when I don't turn my computer on for a while.
Okay. Okay.
And I sit here
Well,
and it goes,
and now
oh,
something's
everything's going to update.
okay.
Can you
You've
hear
gone
me?
a little robot-y now too. I
Okay.
can hear you, but you've gone a little robot-y. So as long as your recording's still going.
Yep, it is.
Okay, cool. Did you jostle the video card?
Yo, fuck you.
How's the temperature of that Duplo block?
It's good. It hasn't melted yet.
That's good. I mean, it's Lego plastic. It should be good for like 300 Kelvin or something.
Right? Should
So
be able to
anyway,
withstand
Sonic Origins.
the surface of the sun.
Exactly. You can still hear me okay, correct?
I can, yes.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, Sonic Origins, it's $40 for the collection, which some say is a little steep. I mean, I would pay easily $60 for a collection like this. The problem is, at the end of the day, there's fucking bugs in Sonic games where bugs never existed before if you played the originals.
Sure.
Which is just fucking baffling, to say the least. And then obviously the other big elephant in the room, to get into it, because there's a lot of stuff. I actually posted a pretty articulate article on it in our Fork Discord. So there are three zones. The Discord. So there are 3 zones. So 6 tracks of music and the mini boss from Sonic 3, whose original music had participation and involvement from Michael Jackson in the original Genesis release.
Right.
And it was along the lines of Michael Jackson was in a meeting with Sega for his Moonwalker
Right.
video game, and somebody
I
at
forgot
Sega,
that was Sega. Yeah.
Yep. Which itself had pretty fantastic music for its day on Genesis. And somebody in the meeting suggested that he help with the music for Sonic 3 specifically. And as it turns out, Michael Jackson is, or I guess was, like the biggest Sonic the Hedgehog fan, like period. Like he's like, oh yes, I'm on it. Like I'm gonna send you all of my guys. We're gonna work on it. Like it's gonna be a whole thing. And then things get really murky. And this has been an ongoing mystery since 1993 as to who actually composed these tracks. So from Brad Buxer, who was one of Michael Jackson's sound maker producer guys on his stuff, whose name does appear on the original Genesis credits, he said the involvement with Michael Jackson was something to the effect of he would get some art or maybe a video of a level, and then Michael Jackson would start beatboxing, and then he would make a tune to that. He would then do all of the work, show it to Michael Jackson, and then Michael Jackson would approve. And then they would send it to Sega. Since he's alive and has been interviewed very recently about this because of this whole fucking thing all over again, he claims that he believes the original shipping cartridge had some of the music that he did, quote unquote, with Michael Jackson for Sega. Sega claims, as they will probably continually always claim, that Michael Jackson never produced music for Sonic 3 in 1993, which is directly opposed to what the living producers of said music for Sonic 3 have stated. So, for whatever reason, You can look into it all you want. There's a ton of documentaries about this on the internet, most of which have got some pretty cool stuff and archival footage with these people when they were alive, and even Michael Jackson himself talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
For these reasons, perhaps one assumes, and then obviously all the other stuff that came later with Michael Jackson in the 90s, as everyone knows.
Right.
The subsequent,
and I've listened to the tracks, like you have them posted. Like I've listened to the tracks, and none of them are like distinctly, oh right, that's definitely Michael Jackson.
I mean, you can hear a digitized like woo of Michael Jackson in the tracks,
Sure.
and maybe that's the thing that broke the camel's back right there. I don't know. All I know is that the songs that they chose to replace them for, specifically for the Sonic Origins release, are fucking terrible. You know, like on the one hand, I understand that they had to replace these tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And it directly fucks with my legitimate memory of my childhood and my high quality rips that I have on my iPhone right now of those tracks. On the other hand, for Sonic Origins, when they've gone so far as to remake the entire fucking original 2D games with the original sprites, but in widescreen and 60 frames a second and all these fancy features, and you play these zones, and there's just this sheer drop off of like audio quality, and it sounds like a fucking terrible MP3 from the fucking 90s. And like the depth, like that's the other thing. Like, you know, a lot of people remember the Sonic games, the Sonic 2D Sonic games in the Genesis, that their sound was fucking like fantastic and very layered and very deep. And you like literally go from a zone that has its original music to these zones that now have a new track, and the track sounds like it was fucking made on a shitty ass Casio or something. And it's just fucking stupid. And furthermore, it gets worse because if you're a diehard Sonic fan, they already used these musics and they just spruced them up a tiny bit, because these were the ones that were included in the PC port of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which I fucking have, and plays with a fucking FM synthesizer, which sounds like garbage on PC, but you know, 90s. And these are, they're definitely the best versions of them, but they weren't good to begin with. And according to this new documentary that just came out like a couple of days ago that I posted in the Discord, were basically the prototype temp tracks for the game that they had before they shipped the game.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, cool.
Do better. Yeah.
Do better. You know, and a lot of fans have even said, like, we understand that there's a Michael Jackson thing. Why in the fuck can't Sega be like, pay for these fucking songs, or even just have them as DLC? Like, the fans are like, look, we know there's some fucking legal bullshit happening.
Right.
If you want to charge us $10 for them, we'll fucking pay them, because they're, in my opinion, and obviously I'm biased because I grew up with this shit, you know, they're fucking fire. They're fucking fire tracks, in my opinion. You know, like if I could legally purchase a Sonic 3 soundtrack that had these tracks, I would 100% do it. You know, have that fucking shit in vinyl. But that's me, you know, being super biased, the Sonic fanboy. So, you know, so that's a sticking point, you know, take it or leave it. It is what it is, as far as sound goes, but the bug thing has to get addressed. It's a fucking embarrassment that this collection, especially considering the last time they did these with these indie developers who did this engine for Sonic, were so well received. And I think to this day, Sonic Mania, which is the new thing that uses the same engine and is made by these same people, is so highly received. I think it's the highest rated Sonic game, period. And the fact that, like, the developers are literally saying, we literally don't have a contract to fix it.
Right.
We wanted to.
We'd be doing it for free.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, but so, and it got further weird because he named the Sonic producer that they were working with, or like at least he was communicating to back in Japan, and he was like, all the people we talked to at Sega were actually super helpful and grateful. He's like, honestly, I think Sega doesn't, and he names the Sonic producer, Sega does not like the man in charge of Sonic. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like that's like I don't even know. That's like Nintendo saying they hate Shigeru Miyamoto for making Mario or some shit like that. I'm like, what? It's so baffling. So baffling. So, you know, and then the other problem is, you know, of course, Sonic Origins went up in a couple weeks before they delisted the singular version. So you up to this point, you could get a Sonic 1 straight up, you could get a Sonic 2 straight up, and you could get a Sonic CD straight up, because those were released like way back in like 2016 or something. Mm-hmm. And those all got delisted. And like, you cannot play them literally, because I had them all on my Xbox and they're all backwards compatible. And it's like, can't load. You don't have the content right for this. And I was like, what?
I sure as fuck do, and I have the receipts.
Well, my digital right expired. So
welcome to your future, gaming buddies.
So yeah, so you know, Sega needs to do better with that, 100%. And hopefully, fans riled enough that they're gonna do a bug fix and they're gonna get these developers back, because they can do it. Like, that's the thing.
Sure,
they've literally proven 1, 2, and then a whole new Sonic game that uses the same style. Like, they've proven it 4 fucking times that they are 100% capable of delivering the goods. And Sega somehow fucked it up in the last 2 months. And I'm just like, I hate to be a fucking Reddit conspiracist, but like, the fucking Sonic curse is fucking real. And it makes it hard to be a fan sometimes, man. It makes it hard to be a fan. Yeah. So, would I recommend this? Of course. I just want to let everybody know that that's what they're paying for.
Well, would you recommend it to someone that isn't a Sonic fan?
No.
Okay.
Because of the bugs.
Okay.
Because I know literally what, especially the ones that didn't, you know, because like I said, the majority of the work was on the one that didn't get ported or remade. I know what the good versions of Sonic 1 CD and 2 are from this exact developer. Like, I know what they are. Like, and they're fucking perfect. In fact, they make the old games better because they fix some of the old shit that's like, oh, that was a little jank way back on the Genesis. And it's just a fucking buttery smooth, glorious experience. You know, and if you look at a lot of people on YouTube, you know, there are people who are gaming analysts, like for how the game design works, and there are people who are like, I did not like Genesis Sonic growing up. These games, and of course Mania, which is the same style, made me appreciate what Sega was doing. It just wasn't as polished as it was now.
Sure.
You know, and so to have the stuff that they already did also tarnished is like, what a fucking what a fuck up. So like, to put this in terms modern people understand, this is the launch of the Master Chief Collection. Oh, they're there.
Yeah.
And they're playable for the most part. this is what this is, unfortunately.
Right. And of course, Halo 1 was a PC game.
At some point, and that's what they ported.
Why was it so bad? Right. Why was the original Halo CE so fucking buggy and crappy?
The Mac version was great. I don't know what you're talking about, Nate.
Yeah.
That's the version I played as well. But yeah, that would be, as shitty as it is, like that is the state that it's in. Oh, they're all there. And they are better than you remember, but also there's some shit there that should not be there, period.
Right.
So yeah, that's the whole thing. I'll stop talking about it and move on to something else because I could probably just complain about it for a while. But yeah, no, I played it, I beat it. I'm very proud to say I'm in the top 500 fastest fucking Sonic players in the world, according to the leaderboards.
Interesting.
Which made me pretty fucking happy. I was like, oh yeah, even with these fucking bugs, I'm still fucking fast, baby. Still fucking fast. So I was very proud of that. Fucking, I think I got it pinned up on my Twitter. I was like, oh shit, really? Like there was like when I was on stream, I just finished the games and I went into their time trials, which is a new thing, leaderboard for these games. And I was like, huh, what's the fastest for like level 1? I was like, huh. You know, and I saw where I placed from just my general playthrough, and I was like, oh man, like down in the top 10,000s. I was like, that seems low. I can do better than that. Then I play the level and be like, oh, you know, it's like level 1. I think it was like a minute 52, and I was like, oh, I can do better than that. Like then the second run was like, oh, a minute, and I was like, oh, I can do better than that. I was like, okay, got it down to 38 seconds. I was like, okay, that's pretty good. Like you gotta understand.
I've never personally understood speed run mentality. Like,
I mean, with Sonic, it makes Sonic it probably makes the most sense because like it is literally designed for it to play a stage as fast as humanly possible, and just like the skill required to just nail every jump, every bounce, every spring. You know, little tiny tricks that you can do because the game, you know, has a physics system and momentum, which was, in my opinion, what made it so different than Mario. Back then, I realized Mario has a physics system, but it's much more limited and more grid based, in my opinion. It's something to like Mega Man or something like that. You know, so I don't know. For me, it's a big deal because like that's where gaming started for me. Like Sonic was my first video game. It's fucking how I learned my ABCs using a goddamn Game Genie. Like that's not a joke. Like that is my gaming origins. Oh, double entendre. Let's go. It's terrible. I've been trying my hand at like shittier like dad joke things in preparation for the inevitability. How's that land for you, Nate?
That was bad.
That was bad? But was it dad joke bad? That's the question.
No, it was just bad.
Oh, okay.
It was bad joke.
Let's see. So I played a little bit more Kirby Forgotten Lands. Returned to that. Streamed it for the first time, like legitimately. I think I did some test streams with it, but I'd already started playing it. Games.
Yeah, when I joined into your stream, you were using wind power to turn on fans. It seemed very much like a puzzle solver.
It can be. I mean, like, you know, Kirby's ability is sucking something up and then copying said something,
right,
and then using that something to do something. I think I had literally they have this thing in Forgotten Lands where you can like, it's called mouthful mode, where you suck up something that's super huge and it like barely fits in his fucking mouth, and it's super fucking weird and a little bizarre. But there's like a giant industrial round fan, and Kirby just fucking sucks it up, and he's just got little tiny feet, and he's just like waddling forward, and he does this big old gust of fan, and blowing fans, and flipping switches and stuff. You know, it's fun. It's delightful. I actually looked up recently how far I was in the game, which I shouldn't have done because I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna finish this in a couple more streams, and I was like, oh,
Nope.
I'm at basically level 2. God
Right.
damn it. So I don't know if I'm gonna get to finish that one before the end of July or not. I don't know. We'll see. But like again, man, the fucking music in that game, it does not need to be that good. Like, I'm glad that it's that good, but it's just like, man, these motherfuckers blowing their clarinets and shit, and then somebody's coming in with a synth line and like a guitar. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like they're just so good, and it's so upbeat and fucking fantastic. And I really wish Nintendo had like soundtracks you could actually obtain legally that aren't, in Japan or whatever, because the music for it is fantastic. You having a moment over there?
Yeah, just a little bit of a yawn.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's all good. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning.
Oh no, I hope that's
So,
a kid related 5 o'clock.
yeah, always is.
Okay, just want to make sure. Yeah, so I've been doing that. Been playing sparingly, basically, only when Daniel needs help. Been playing sparingly. Elden Ring. Um, his wife and kiddo were not at his house for a minute, so I had a little opportunity this afternoon to pop on and help him on with stuff.
Nice.
Which is hilarious because like we've been playing for a little while now, since he got his Series X, and I hadn't actually asked him. I was like, hey, so like, what do you like this game? Like, are you enjoying yourself in this game? Because every time we play, he's just like, this is gonna give me a heart attack. I'm about fucking ready to throw my Xbox out the window. Like, if I die one more goddamn time. And he was just like, man, like, I'm very stubborn. And when everything can and does kill you in this game, it makes me want to fucking prove it wrong.
Right.
And I was
Fair.
like, okay, yeah, that's valid. So yeah,
I'm not wired that way.
yeah, I bet. So I've been doing a little bit of that. I started, as I told my streaming audience, my grand new game plus story replay of the Xenoblade games, leading up to the inevitability of the third game, which comes out on the 29th, of which it's my most look forward to game this year. So I'm very excited to be through all of the work at the end of the month, and then I don't know. I guess I'll decide then.
I hope it doesn't disappoint. I really do.
Oh, me too. Like, so they had a direct recently. They had a 20-minute direct, which was good, where they revealed the English voice actors, because the previous trailers have all been in Japanese for it. And they showed off how all the systems work in the game, basically. And it just looks like they've taken every lesson, every fan comment, everything of the past, which sounds strange to say, but it's Japanese, of the past 3 Xenoblade Chronicles games, because it's Japanese. And even though this is Xenoblade Chronicles 3, there are technically 4. Because after they did Xenoblade Chronicles 1, they did Xenoblade Chronicles Cross. And it's like,
right.
Sure. Okay, fine.
So that was 2. And then 2 was 3.
Right. Yeah. And then they had giant ass full size game DLC expansions to 2 of them. So it's like, okay. But yeah, no, it really does look like they took everything that has annoyed any fan of this series so far, and they really took that to heart with both the UI, with all the little things. A lot of people have complained on the series, especially on 2, that there's so much shit on screen and it's so fucking busy that it's like, what the fuck is even happening on screen? Which is funny because that was the first Xenoblade I played and I fucking loved it. But I I will also admit that there's way too much shit on the screen. And it looks like they clean up their UI. Everything's beautiful. And like the stuff that I've seen in the stuff, I'm really looking forward to it. You know, basically what I got. All right, we should move on to something else before Nate falls asleep on me. We did them all, so we're now on to entertainment.
Yes.
Fantastic. So, what you been watching, Nate?
The usuals. I've been watching my Orville. We finished up Obi-Wan season finale.
Oh, okay, you hadn't done that yet.
Right.
Okay, what'd you think of that? I mean, obviously, Vader had to lose.
You think?
I mean, like, we knew that was gonna happen.
The visuals on that final fight were,
they were great.
Just amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
Just didn't hit right. Obi-Wan just suddenly just like, oh hey, I'm Super Saiyan badass after being right. It was the episode 3 Yoda scene all over again. You know, hobbles in on the cane and then starts spinning off the walls.
See, I never had a problem with that.
I didn't buy it. Yeah, I didn't buy that one, and I'm not buying this one, kind of thing.
So, my complaint of the final episode, now that we can talk about it, that you've seen it, spoilers for Obi-Wan. Big whoop. He wins against Vader. Vader doesn't kill Obi-Wan. Ooh.
How is that a spoiler? That's like, you can't have episode 4 if he does.
Facts. My big problem with the final episode, I thought the fight was great. My problem was the scene before. Well, two things. Why do we have all this fucking Reva shit? Like, no, really, why? Why did we need any of that? Other than to show that the foster parents of Luke are kind of fucking badass. And as a lot of people on Reddit pointed out, I don't remember her name, but the wife to Owen, they're like, oh wow, Owen's wife is a real ride or die bitch, ain't she? Like, what the fuck? She's ready to throw down. I was like, oh, that's pretty metal, actually. But did we need that?
No.
I didn't think we needed that at all. And if anything, it detracted from the finale. And then my second problem was, all right, so we go all the way out of our way to have Qui-Gon Jinn return in the flesh, as played by
Liam Neeson.
Thank you. I was doing a blank. To have like one line,
right?
And you wouldn't know this, but Liam Neeson returned more than a few times as Force Ghost in the Clone Wars TV series.
Yes,
and it's like, what? And for me, had I been the one writing this, and was presented with the same kind of overall structure, I would have put that Force Ghost shit right when fucking Obi-Wan is on the fucking ship debating about whether or not he needs to go off and fight Vader solo to save all these people. Because my thought was the whole theme of the fucking series was fucking Obi-Wan's afraid. And Vader represents everything that he's afraid of about dark side, the Empire, all the stuff that basically, you know, the Jedi failed at, including his own personal failings, you know, with Anakin, obvious, you know. And in that moment, I think it would have been better if he's like trying to think about it, and then we get the Force Ghost hand on the shoulder, and you know, and he's like, you have, like, you know, my old Padawan, you got to face your fears, bro.
Right. Like, if that would have been the moment that brought him out of the multitude of voices that were circulating, and then hand on the shoulder.
Yeah. Like, I think personally that would have been more satisfying. That would have been more impactful, both for the actors, for the audience.
Less fan servicey.
I have been punched in the face by two of my most diehard Star Wars fans who said, they're like, yeah, but you can't talk to a Force Ghost if you're conflicted with the light and the dark. And that's why he appears at the end, because that's canon. And I'm like, okay, but I feel like this note as a story would have been better if we'd maybe fudged those rules a little bit. And yeah. So those were my problems. Obviously everybody on Reddit was so mad that when Obi gets crushed by the rocks and Vader's literally above him, that there wasn't like a return, like, I have the high ground now.
Right.
Obi-Wan like thing for the memers out there. Which is fine because they turned it into a glorious meme anyway. I think the thing on the internet was they're like, so Anakin finally got the high ground, proved he didn't know fuck all what to do with it.
Right.
I was like, oh my god. So I don't know. Like, I think as a whole series, I think Obi-Wan's pretty cool. I enjoyed that we got a lot more Vader in it than I ever thought we were gonna get.
Yes.
Considering how sparingly he was used in like Rogue One and stuff like that. And I thought that it was cool. I really, really fucking enjoyed the previous episode's flashback to
the training. And
yeah, it's a training
the
and
clever banter between the two of them.
Yeah, and as a lot of people have said online, actually having Hayden Christensen's face, even though he's, supposedly in the Darth Vader suit the entire time. Like, I don't know, like it was just cool, and the fact that the actors, and that's the other thing that's really curious. It's like, so the actors, both Ian McGregor and Christensen, have said they're totally game to come back and do like a season 2 or something. And I'm like,
but then what do you do?
But what do you do? Because it's like, you can have them battle again for like more fan service, I suppose, because there's enough years. But it's like, do we need that? I don't need that. See, what I'd much rather have, and this is being Star Wars selfish, I suppose, is I would rather have, because I've already done this in the comics. There's a Vader comic series that shows what happens with Anakin immediately after Revenge of the Sith, like moving forward into the giant 20 years between 3 and 4. And it's so fucking well written and fascinating. And if they could put that on screen, like, it is, like, I've probably said it before on this show, like, it's so well done and it's so good. And I realize, like, ooh, where do they want to do a whole series about like the Dark Lord of the Sith, Vader, And I'm like, I think you should, in all honesty, because anything,
and you can without really wrecking canon, because
and it's already written in canon, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's already written. Like, the space is already carved out. It doesn't fuck with anything. It's all in the new canon. It's all good, And I'm like, I feel like the scenes with Vader show how much a live action version of that would be good for Star Wars media, I think. And I would much rather have that than them to fucking shoehorn a second season with
Obi-Wan
chasing down Luke from people that I don't fucking know. I didn't need that whole Reba shit. So
yeah, and again, you start doing that too much, and then you go, okay, then how come Luke was absolutely clueless from episode 4?
Right, and they skirted the fuck around that. Obviously, they're like, okay, he didn't see a lightsaber. He saw Ben as like a crazy person that was being talked to by his father. And it's like, okay, like, he skirted it, cool, and like that was the thing that I liked. And I saw a lot of people that were like pissed about the little Leia stuff, but I was like, I don't know. I thought the Leia stuff was great. I thought it was well done. I thought the actress who did it was fantastic. I totally bought her as Leia. I totally bought that people would try to fucking kidnap her because he's this like rich senator. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's sure. But I don't need like an even older, aged up Ian McGregor going on yet another hunt or some shit. Like, I don't like, as much as
Because
I love to see.
I mean, he couldn't do anything with Luke without screwing up everything. So is it going to go back to Leia or just be random Jedi hunt?
Yeah,
Which again,
and I don't need that.
Kind of ruins it because again, he's supposed to be the hermit in the hills.
Yeah, I don't need any of that.
Yeah.
But if the rumors about the next series that's going to be developed are true, it's that the actor who plays character Cal Kestis, who's the main character in the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order video game, which is getting a sequel next year, who himself is a live action TV and movie actor who's really good. The rumors are that he's getting his own live action TV series.
Right.
And that is far more interesting to me because he's really well defined as a character.
Another interesting that I heard from the Star Wars Celebration was the appearance of Sam Witwer on the stage.
That's not that interesting. Because he's...
Because I know he's done a ton of voices, but they could also bring in what's his from the video games.
Yeah,
Force Unleashed.
They've kind of fucked up that period of story in the comics, so that doesn't exist in the new canon. I would love for them to revisit that because I really liked that, the Force Unleashed storyline stuff, and I further liked that even Lucas was like, yeah, no, that's canon too, by the way.
Right.
Because that was back in the day when he ran everything and nothing got by his desk without approval. But yeah, no, that's not that surprising because Sam Witwer, yes, he was Star Killer, but he's also been the voice of Darth Maul for all of the animated projects, and he even reprised his voice in Star Wars Solo. Even though that was the actor who played Darth Maul, they dubbed over with Sam Witwer's voice, which was an interesting combo. And Sam Witwer also, before they went back and re-recorded stuff, he was the animated voice of Palpatine as well. But he's since been replaced by Ian McDiarmid. I think when Ian McDiarmid came back for Rise of Skywalker, I guess he didn't know about the animated series at all, since he wasn't asked by Lucas to come back for that. And he was like, can I do those? And Disney was like, yes. And so they re-recorded every single scene across fucking 8 seasons of Clone Wars, which isn't that many with Palpatine and him being a senator or not. And they re-recorded them all. And there was a whole thing about it where Sam Witwer was just like, it's all good. I was just keeping his seat warm.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, what do you do?
It'd be different if they brought in some other crotchety, or brought me in to re-record the line.
Yeah.
That right.
Exactly. So yeah. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with Star Wars. There's plenty of stories to tell in that universe, in my opinion, and at least we're finally getting to some of this ancillary stuff, which honestly might be more interesting than the Skywalker saga at this point. Just saying.
Right.
What else you been watching?
Most of the other stuff's been ended, so I'm kind of down to my Star Trek, which I don't think I'm caught up on the most recent one.
I'm not caught up on Star Trek, and I'm not caught up on Orville. We haven't watched a single Orville. We've been
Orville's been I don't know. It's
not
just
so
been
good?
weird. No, it's been great. It's just the timing of the fact that the episodes have already been in the can, and they have been for a long time.
Some of the topical stuff they're bringing.
The topical stuff that they're bringing up as it pertains to things going on currently is just it's eerie timing, and it's very appropriate.
Oh, okay.
So
hitting too close to home then.
Hitting real close to home.
Gotcha. Okay.
So. But other than that, yeah, I haven't.
You didn't get a chance to see Westworld?
Oh, I did. I did so much, and I loved it. I loved it. Thank you for reminding me.
I don't think I was gonna let you go with that. Like, here, fork. We are Westworld fans.
Yeah. And I'm real curious what's going on with this season with Christine.
Yeah.
What is that all about? Like everyone else seems to know who the hell they are, but she don't.
So, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things. I mean, full spoilers going into Westworld season 4, episode 1,
Mm-hmm.
which itself is hard to spoil, but spoilers, I guess, for the previous seasons, since it's a very intricate show.
Right.
I'd say tune out now, Fork fam, if you haven't seen those. You know, number one, they did a thing that a lot of famous shows have done reasonably successful with a giant ass time jump.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like, oh yeah, no, that whole fucking android war. And you're like, what?
Right.
What do you mean? They're like, yep. And then they got outlawed, and then it's like, but then Maeve's still alive, but she's being hunted. And I didn't catch this until I watched the behind the scenes on of the episode, which I don't know if you watched those or not.
I did not.
The fucking dude who hunted Maeve was
Mm-hmm.
the
Colonel.
yeah, it was the
Right?
colonel from like
Yeah.
season 2.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah, she called him out by name.
Yeah. And I heard
Yeah.
heard her say that, but it didn't click with me. And
Oh,
in the
okay.
behind the scenes, they're like, yeah, we decided to bring the colonel back, and I was like,
Because
oh
why not?
shit, yeah, now I remember him. Okay. And it's, man, I have never enjoyed an episode while also not knowing what the fuck is going on so much as this
Right.
episode. Because, like, on the one hand, like, I was under the impression at the end of last season that the real Man in Black is dead, and he is replaced by a
Animatronic. Yeah.
a host.
Yes.
To use the Westworld terminology. But I don't know what was up with the flies. Like, were the flies like nanobots? Maybe. We also don't know what's going on with Christine, who's played by the Dolores actress.
Mm-hmm.
Because it looks like she's in New York, but there's several things there that are also like, are we watching? Is she in a simulation?
Right.
Is she potentially in another park?
Because
there's a scene with the fucking dudes, and they're like, oh, yo, this fucking thing, which is exactly like in season 1.
Yep.
And I'm just like, but then there's also like stuff about her like potentially being in a loop, but then they like literally on the nose, oh, do you want to be white hat or what was it, white shoes or black shoes?
Right.
And I'm just like, okay, they're feeding us so many on the nose things, I feel, just to fuck with us.
Mm-hmm.
To think like, oh, to think this, to think that, to think this. And the truth is, it could be any of those things,
Right. And she's writing NPC stories, which I find hilarious.
Right? What the fuck? And then Teddy shows up at the end, which thankfully was not spoiled by me, or spoiled for me. Like, so when he showed up, I was genuinely surprised.
Yeah, me too.
My understanding was, I guess they did a press conference like 2 weeks ago, and they had all the actors on, and then they were taking questions from the fans or something. And then James Marsden, who plays Teddy, like, is in the audience, and he asks a question. He's like, oh, will Teddy be back? And they're like, yes. And so they spoiled it 2 weeks ago, but I totally missed that. So I was like, oh, sweet, he's back.
Well, and even, even if he was back, they didn't spoil the context. Like, even still, had I known Teddy was going to be back, like, that was not where I expected him to make his return.
Well, and then, for the long-term Westworld aficionados, so he, quote-unquote, died in season 2, but also was uploaded to the Sublime?
Mm-hmm.
So he's potentially alive in the quote-unquote simulation with all the other host minds?
Right.
Maybe? Which is maybe where we are? I don't know.
I don't know. It feels very semi to me that Dolores wouldn't be Dolores. She'd be Christine.
Sure.
Right. And like you said, the little obvious, like, spot on the nose, people running around going,
Well, and I assume you also caught that there's like that whole thing with the tower that they were
Mm-hmm.
talking about, and then those lamps look exactly like this tower thing
Mm-hmm.
that people are kind of talking about.
And she's freaking out, and the Delos SUVs were driving around the street.
Right. And so I listened to I would listen to a couple of Westworld podcasts actually. But one of the ones I listen to is Shed on TV's Westworld podcast, who's run by a fellow named Gene Lyons, who we actually follow each other on Twitter. So I actually don't know if he listens to the show or not, but if he does, sup. Um, but him and his crew have been doing quality Westworld podcasts since the very beginning,
Okay.
and they pointed out an interesting thing, which I'm just gonna steal for a topic on my own show. Uh, since we're talking
Hey, you
about
credited it.
talking
You
about
gave it
Westworld,
proper credit.
yeah,
Yeah.
check it out. Chat the movies. They do all kinds of stuff. But their Westworld one is where I fell in love with their stuff. So they pointed out, and I've totally lost it now. I've been talking about it too long, and I lost what it is that they pointed out, which is terrible.
Fail.
Classic me, right? Fuck. What was it that they pointed out?
We were talking
Oh
to
no,
Dolores.
they pointed out that every season there is some kind of monolithic actual structure and bad
Mhm.
guy. In season 1, it was the park and the mesa. In
Mhm.
season 2, it was literally Delos and then the forge where the
Okay.
Sublime was. Season 3 was literally Rehoboam and the French guy,
Mhm.
and they seem to be positing season 4 as this tower, the tower, whatever it is. And who knows at this point, you know. So yeah, it's interesting, and it picked up with Aaron Paul's character that he's got like a wife and a kid now, but he's
Mhm.
back doing what he was doing before this war that happened that we don't know anything about. And it's
That
like,
apparently she doesn't know about. She thinks
I
he's just out of his
guess,
mind. And
I don't
yeah,
know.
when they show up, like, oh, this was true.
Yeah, I was a
So
little I was a little fuzzy on that specific
me
thing.
too. I'll
Um,
be curious how that plays out. Makes me wonder if she's also a host.
I mean, this is Westworld. You have to ask the
Right?
question: Is is the person that we are viewing having a real story, or is it happening in
Right.
memory? Is it happening in a fucking simulation? You have to ask all these questions because Westworld, from the very beginning, introduced the fact that this show has an unreliable narrator from the point
Mhm.
of view that this show is filmed. So what you're watching might not really be what you're watching.
Right.
Um,
It might be a memory sequence. It might
it
be
could be all kinds of fucking shit. Who
right.
knows?
But yeah, no, for her to be age appropriate
Well, and for
and
them,
have no clue, and so it could. What was it? A regional thing?
to do um, this 7-year time jump,
Mhm.
it does a couple of things from a storytelling standpoint. A, it resets the fan base, so it's like, cool. You know what happened in season 1, 2, and 3, but you don't know fuck all about what happened in these 7 years, and there could literally be anything there.
Mhm.
So you were, and a lot of people were kind of upset that this first episode was kind of slow and like nothing really interesting or crazy happened. But it was a little bit like that in the very first episode of Westworld. And what this does is kind of a little bit of a soft reboot for the hardcore fans, I think.
Mhm.
Um, rightly or wrongly, we'll see when the season's up. Um, and we've known for a while that Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy, the creators and showrunners of the show, um, they mapped out a 5-season arc for Westworld, and
Mhm.
we know that they're going to get to finish this arc. So we know that this is basically the prelude to the finale of the entire show.
Right.
And for them to move 7 years into the future, means either those 7 years are not that important, or they're super important, and we're gonna fill them in as we go. Because for all we know,
Right.
we're gonna get a flashback episode, like a whole episode that's gonna be like the war or some shit. Because we
I
don't know.
just hope it doesn't.
You know.
I just hope it's not used as time filler.
Right, and I think that that's really important as we get down to the very end of Westworld.
Do we know how many episodes the season is?
8 episodes. It's a short season. It's a short season, just like season 3.
Okay.
So I think we can pretty much only expect 8 from here on out, including presumably the 5th and final season. So man, we'll see. I guess
this is not a season. This is a mini series. I hate that shows have now gone to this 8 to 10 episode.
So I'm tolerant of 8 episodes if you give me 8 amazing episodes.
Right.
Where
but most haven't. Like they'll do like 5 and 6 are the filler. It's like, okay, we just need to put some stuff here to get you through to.
I mean, sometimes. I mean, where I feel it's most egregious actually is in the Marvel TV shows. Like the MCU TV shows on Disney Plus, where there are only 6 episodes. And I feel, I've watched all of their shows so far, and I feel that they don't have the pacing right for 6 episodes for an MCU TV show. For them to be 6 episodes, and they need more episodes. And if they let some stuff breathe some more, like a regular ass TV series,
right,
it would be better. I would be much happier with 8, and I would be more content with 10 or 13. But I also know that those MCU TV shows also have like a literal movie budget, which is different than most shows have. So I don't know. I don't recall there being filler episodes in season 3 of Westworld with 8 episodes. I recall a couple of episodes, at least one episode where I was kind of like, I don't know if I needed that as a story kind of thing,
right.
But I don't believe it was filler, so to speak. And that's the other thing too, is we didn't see all of our main characters. We have no idea what the fuck Bernard is up to.
Right, and we know he's in it because we've seen him in the trailer.
What's going on with evil Dolores, who's unaffectionately called by the fans Halores, who was Hale, right? They always call her Halores. So we don't know what's up with that,
right?
And yeah, so there's a lot of unknowns, and that's kind of where they've put us as an audience this season. And because of the show airing weekly, we get to ponder and pontificate and spin out wild ass theories. There's still some people holding out hope that we'll see Anthony Hopkins again, and that when he blew his brains out in season 1, that was really just an elaborate host, even though in season 2 you can see the fucking maggots crawling out of his brain, and it's fine. So, well,
right. Meat is meat.
Meat is meat. Okay. Interesting thing there. Let's see. What do we watch? What do you mean? Watch the finale of Stranger Things, season 4. We watched both episodes pretty much back to back, so it's like fucking 4.5 hours for 2 episodes. Yeah, the last episode is a full-on feature-length film. It's pretty awesome, actually. So those are cool, especially because now they're over, and thus begins the long wait for the final season.
And again, this is and not necessarily Stranger Things, but this is a gripe I have again. Previous point here: 8 episode, 6 episode seasons is they go, well, we're going to give you 2-hour episodes. I don't have time to sit in front of a TV for 2 damn hours for an episode.
Yeah, and I watched the interview with the creators of Stranger. Did you watch Stranger Things?
I've wanted to.
Okay.
But again, it's the investment at this point is just too daunting for me to jump in now.
I mean, you can.
I know. I
At the
probably
very
will.
least, the first 3 seasons are standard hour-length episodes, and they
Cool.
have a standard episode number. Season 4 does not play by those rules.
Great.
You know, I'd say like the first handful of episodes are an hour, and then they start growing to an hour 10, hour 20, hour 30, all the way until you're at, I think it's 2 hours is the second last episode, and the last episode's 2 hours and 34 minutes.
Jeez.
But they went
Should have
by,
just made it 4 episodes out of those.
they went, well, I don't know. Like, so it's a complicated thing. On the one hand, I enjoyed the fuck out of it. This was their best season yet. On the other hand, and they talked about this in an interview, the creators, where they shot stuff and they didn't feel that it was right to cut it from an episode just for length or for story purposes or shortening or whatever. And then they're like, well, we're on a fucking streaming platform. Why can't we just show what we shot?
Right.
And it's only edited for our own, how we view it as editors and filmmakers.
And then, and sure, that'll explain the 1 hour 20-minute episode, or the 1 hour 10-minute. Right.
So their second impetus was, they also felt like because they did shoot more this season, and because it's been a fucking 3-year wait, since the last season, which wasn't their fault. They were shooting during COVID. That they felt that what they shot they owed to the fans, since they shoot with kids, and chances are it's going to be another at least 2 years before we see the final season. So I don't know. It's interesting. I much prefer an extra long episode to like what they did with the first season of The Mandalorian, where you get where some episodes are like fucking 18 minutes long, and it's like, fuck you.
Right.
Like, I sat down for this, like, it's such an odd thing, the time arrangement of television. Especially since obviously if you're logically thinking about it, you can pause at any time.
Right.
That's the other thing.
And that's assuming the app picks it back up where I left off.
Does it not?
Not really. Yeah, well, Roku is not really big on that. And I would say it's just a Roku issue, because I'll be watching it on one of my TVs. I'll go over to the in-laws house and fire up the app on their Apple TV, and it ignored an entire block in between 2 commercials.
Really? Because I mean, I've heard other people talk about the Roku being kind of wonky. Even though Roku was early contender in that game and is somehow still around. Like, I don't know what's up with that.
It just doesn't. They don't sync at all.
Like, I have had a lovely time on my Apple TV, and I'm not just saying that as the Apple TV fanboy over here.
Well, and that's the only reason I brought it up, because I would expect that level of quality from the Apple TV, and even the syncing on that isn't working. I'll be watching an episode on the Apple TV, pause it or close it because I had to go do something, come back and try to resume the episode, and it forgot that entire session. It's just dumb.
So I have a question. What streaming service are you using with said Apple TV?
All of them. It does it with Paramount. It does it with Hulu. It does it with Netflix. It does it.
Okay, here's a piece of knowledge for you. One, Netflix doesn't do any kind of syncing with Apple TV whatsoever, because they're just an obstinate fuck.
Okay.
So don't expect that on Netflix, period. On Apple TV or iOS devices or Mac devices.
Okay.
Because of because of subscription things. They're the only one who doesn't. Number 2, if you are using an Apple TV specifically, I would not start by going to said app and going to your list and hitting resume, because the Apple TV and all the other apps, except for Netflix, work with the Apple TV app on the Apple TV, where it's got the queue for you. You hit it from the queue. It's always perfect. That's been my experience.
Interesting. Okay.
Netflix is the only one that doesn't do that. And then the only other exception to that is when I watch. So technically, to clarify, it does resume on Crunchyroll, which is the anime app, Sony's anime app. For whatever fucking reason, it switches the audio to Spanish. Don't know why. It's been doing it all year. Every fucking time it switches it to Spanish. And I'm just like,
blame the wife.
No. Sure. I don't know. But yeah, no. That's been my experience with Apple TV. Is if you use the actual Q app, the main thing in the upper left that says Apple TV on the Apple TV app, it always goes to the right thing at the right stuff. It just opens the app and does it for you. That's what I use. That's what makes the experience great, in my opinion, on Apple TV. Unless you use Netflix, in which case I could just shit out of luck. Rough. But Netflix has shitty streaming quality anyway, so who fucking gives a fuck? They're only charging you the most out of any of the streaming people. You want UHD, whatever. Stupid fucking. Yeah, so Stranger Things great. We finished Time Traveler's Wife on HBO, which we were very saddened to hear yesterday. It just got canceled.
What?
So we're like, what? That sucks.
It reviewed well.
So I looked into it. It had less than 500,000 viewers per week.
Okay.
It had very terrible viewing stats. And I'm like, that sucks. And Jessica, who's obviously defending the series, and I'll defend it too. I enjoyed the shit out of it. She's like, well, it kind of came on when like literally all of the good stuff came on. She's like, it's fighting with Westworld, it's fighting with Orville, it's fighting with Star Trek, it's fighting with Halo, it's fighting with Stranger Things,
Sure, that makes sense if you're living in a time slot world.
True.
Right.
You're not wrong. But yeah, a little weird to see that it's canceled, considering it literally just finished last weekend when Westworld premiered. Because we did Westworld, and then we did Time Traveler's Wife finale, and and then we were basically done with our Sunday watching. So really weird that it was canceled.
Yeah,
really
kind of tragic.
Yeah, good show. Recommend it to people. For those sad about it ending, since it is based on the book and the movie, you can watch the movie if you want to know how the story ends. Or read the book, because both are going to give you that ending. Let's see. We did watch a Star Trek this week. It's the one with the floating city and the kid in it. The kid like runs the city. Nope.
Oh.
Okay.
Drawn blank on that one.
Well, I got like 4 more episodes to watch, so I'm very behind on Strange New Worlds. It was Captain Pike's like ex-girlfriend or something.
Ooh, okay.
That episode, yeah. And me and Jessica were like super sad because we watched it because we wanted a fun show, and then that episode ended, and we're like, that was kind of fucking sad. God damn it. Yeah. So we had that, and then we've just been kind of watching some other shows.
The most recent one is just a banger of turn your brain off and not follow any storyline whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll have fun with it.
Okay.
I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but yeah, what you wanted out of your last episode, you'll get out of the most recent one.
Okay. That's fine.
but it'll also bring you to tears.
Okay.
Oh.
I fit in some rewatch movies with my family in the past 2 weeks. Got my folks to watch Spider-Man No Way Home, Ghostbusters Afterlife, and then with my mom, because I totally forgot it came out, was Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. We watched those. I'd seen them all already in theaters. Did those. Been watching a weird anime. It's all anime are weird, but
I was gonna say
a fucking stupidly obnoxious title to pronounce that I'm gonna have to go to Google right now for.
Sure.
It's called Ari Furta from Commonplace to World's Strongest. So I've been watching that in bed when Jessica's been like, "Come to bed with me," and I'm like, "I'm not tired," and then I cave, and then I'm sitting there awake while she's fucking snoring with her arm, closing off my windpipe. So I've been watching that. At first I was just watching it because somebody said, I think Brock recommended it to me, and the art and the music and the voice acting were like really strong, and I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, all right, whatever. And then it kind of morphed into this other show, and then it became like really good, and I started like actually paying attention to it, because what was happening was I was sitting in bed, Diablo Immortal, in Pip was the anime running over the map section in Diablo Immortal, and I was watching the show, and then it became less Diablo Immortal and then more watching the show as like it started to grab my interest, which is obviously a good sign for a show that it's grabbing your interest again from gaming. So it's doing that. Finished the first season of that. It's good. I recommend it. First season's on Hulu for whatever fucking reason. Second season's on Crunchyroll. Found out Crunchyroll doesn't have Pip. Good job, Sony. So stop playing Diablo Immortal because I couldn't fucking Pip. And I'm like, seriously, motherfuckers, you bought the only other anime company in town, and you can't fucking do Pip, Sony. And it sucks because I know the Crunchyroll headquarters is here in Seattle too, so I'm like, motherfuckers. Fucking so stupid. Did that. Just been watching some other bullshit shows to make Jessica happy, like Castle and stuff like that.
I love
I do too. I just hate police procedurals. I love the Castle part.
Right.
Because I'm a big Nathan Fillion fan, and obviously he's super hilarious and enjoyable in everything he does.
Right.
Yeah, so that's good. I think we're about to wrap, finally, the second season. Also, going back to old TV, why in the fuck does season 1 of Castle 13 episodes, season 2 of Castle 20 fucking 8 episodes? Like, what the fuck?
That's how it should be.
Ugh. So dumb. Yeah, that's really all we've been watching, to my knowledge. But the fact that I brought up the anime and playing Diablo Immortal does bring up, I have hit a point in the game that now irritates me.
Oh.
And it's not a paywall or anything like that. So when the game started, you had like your dailies, right? You go do these 4 quests, and you could stack up to
your chores.
Yeah, your chores. I was like, okay, I know this. Hello, Destiny.
Right.
And then the daily went from like 8, and then it went to 16, and then it went to 24, and I went, what the actual fuck? So to clarify, yesterday, I played Diablo Immortal a lot. burnt through an entire iPhone 13 Pro battery. I don't know how many hours that is. It's a lot. While we were watching shit, besides just Stranger Things yesterday. And I was trying to do all of my goddamn dailies. I did not finish all of my dailies on one fucking battery charge. And furthermore, I'm irritated by the fact that they were a nice, manageable, like 4 or 8. And then it was like, okay, 16, all right, that's kind of a lot, but I can do that. And now it's 24, and I'm just like, why is the number growing?
Because they can. They're moving those goalposts on.
And I was like,
we've got you.
Fuck you.
Yeah, we've got you. Now, let's see how far we can break you.
Yeah. Well, so I did that, and I'm realizing there's no way in hell that I'm going to be able to finish this battle pass, which is unfortunate. Because like I told you from the beginning, I did buy the first battle pass. And I've been playing it casually. I've been saying it from the get-go. I've been playing it casually, like I said, in bed, a couple hours here and there. You know, but it's like I'm like nothing made me feel the Destiny hate more than seeing that 24 on that grind and how fucking long. So to be clear,
right,
I did complete my 24 daily. I spent a copious amount of hours during the day doing it, and then a little bit at night when I went to bed and again wasn't asleep, and then just goes out like a light. And I was like, okay, well, I can't pip, so I guess I'm gonna fucking get these last 8. And I did the last 8, and I think I finished at like 1:30 in the morning, and the clock hadn't reset. And I'm just like, I'm not doing this again. This is not happening. And I'm not getting the battle pass, and I'm now mad at you, Diablo Immortal, because I still enjoy playing, the act of playing. And so far, I'm still not through all the story stuff. Although I guess I'm getting close to the level cap. I'm like 60 something now, I think. I don't know what the level cap is. I think it's close up there. It's like 65 or 70 or something. But I'm just like, okay, I'm starting to see some of the things that everybody's been complaining about. Perhaps this is on the list of things complaining about. I don't know. I haven't been paying that close attention to it. I'd be remiss if I missed stating that. Oh, some other stuff I missed since we're basically in wrap up before we close out early, like you said. Surprising. Nintendo had just a fucking off the cuff, like they dropped a direct that showed a partner showcase. And 2 things of note. There's a bunch of stuff shown. It was a whole 30-minute thing. I'm not going to get into the whole thing. 2 things of note. Number 1, I've been complaining about this for years, but they finally fucking announced that all those Persona games that are coming to Xbox this October, they're coming to Switch. Same day and date. Obviously, cool. You have to pay for them. And I'm just like, you couldn't announce this like a long fucking time ago? Like what? Like part of me is like, here's what happened. Here's the inside bat. Here's what happened. This is my total joke, totally made up thing. Microsoft paid Atlas to port the PC versions of Persona, which already exist, to Xbox. Probably pretty easy. And then they were like, hey, how much money did Microsoft give us? Oh, a lot? Hey, let's port those to Switch while we're at it.
Right.
And I'm just like... And what makes me mad about this is come October, I have to make 2 decisions. Number 1, because I still am lightly playing every once in a while and haven't beaten Persona 3 Golden. Persona 4 Golden? Persona 4 Golden. The one that came out on PlayStation Vita. That one. Okay. That's now on PC and everything else. Do I abandon the old handheld in favor of
the hotness
Switch,
right,
or Game Pass, which will probably be streaming on my phone? And I'm like, fuck. I don't know now.
Right.
Because either is going to be a huge time investment because they're gigantic JRPGs.
It's going to come down to the screen. If you're doing your Game Pass on your iPad, you're going to have a larger screen. Probably where you're going to be playing it.
So
on the claw, 2 feet from your
when
face.
I've been doing the claw, I'll use the iPhone.
Okay.
With a Bluetooth controller.
Right.
So, because my iPhone has HDR while my iPad does not, and Game Pass has HDR.
And I have noticed something. We haven't talked about this in forever.
Oh yeah, go for it.
You know, with me being the Stadia wong.
Did you hear Stadia is coming to more countries?
Of course it is. Good for them. I'm not buying it anymore. But I'm becoming more and more aware of the shortcomings of Game Pass.
Yeah.
Streaming.
Yeah. Okay.
Like it's the connection dependency on it has just been like Tunic was damn near unplayable. So I can't imagine playing something like Persona.
Well, Persona would be perfect. It's a turn-based RPG.
You would think, but though that input lag was just it's gotten like on some games it's gotten atrocious. Like I was gonna let's see if I can play Turtles on this. I don't want to. So,
well, you know,
maybe maybe that'll color your decision to play it on a native like the Switch.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, well, you know, there's a couple of factors. I mean, obviously, if I do them on Switch, I'm paying for them, and I've already paid for one copy that I still haven't beaten. You know, on a system that now is no longer made.
Right.
But to dig out the charger for it when I do play it. Which I do. Like my Vita sits by my bed when I get the hankering to fuck with some teens in Japan going into people's mind to try to solve a crime. With fucking goofy ass weird personas, because they're like Pokemon, by the way. I don't know if you know this. But you collect like identities, and they're these just fucking wacky ass fucking Japanese ass shit. But the story is really cool, and it's dark and mature and whatnot. So it's like there's that aspect to it of like, well, so I'm gonna abandon a fucking 60+ hour save in favor of another handheld that I might not finish. Like that's the other thing. And like starting over, it's like, ooh, that's a rough one to start over. In my opinion, because one of the things that took me so long and why I've been playing it literally for fucking years and years and years, but you know, a few hours there, is the beginning of Persona 4 Golden is fantastic and interesting, but you're not really playing it for like the first like 4 hours.
Okay.
It's like tutorial screens and story and cutscenes and story and
couple of quick time event. Yeah.
You know, it's like there's a lot to quote unquote start it, you know, and I'm like, I don't know. So we'll see. So anyway, but the point is, it's finally fucking coming. The Persona 5 character that's been in Super Smash Bros. Brawl for 4 fucking years, by the way, finally is getting the game that's associated with it. And more importantly for Nintendo, and I guess Xbox for that matter, they're getting the Persona brand games on their platforms for the first time. Right. Well, second time for Nintendo, because I guess they had like Persona 1 and 2 on the DS or something, because they were much older PS1 games or something like that. So anyway, big news there. Wanted to point it out for Fork Fam. And number 2 was Square Enix showcased this fucking new RPG game that is like a cross between Final Fantasy and Harvest Moon.
Okay.
And it looked like dope. I watched the trailer and I was like, that looks kind of hot. This. Yeah. It's called Harvestella. And the game looks good. It's coming to like everything in November. And it's like farm simulator, the JRPG thing, mixed with going out into the world, Final Fantasy style, and like JRPG wackiness. But then like it shows in the trailer that there's like this mechanic of like you're literally like fighting monsters to fight back like the apocalypse of fucking up all the crops or something in the world. And I was like, what?
Okay.
This looks kind of great. Like, I'm kind of into this as a trailer, as an idea, you know. And the fact that it's being made by Square Enix, who makes, in general, they're the JRPG company, you know. And I'm like, that could be kind of hot. That could be kind of hot. And it's a new game. Like, it's not, when I say it's Harvest Moon and Final Fantasy, it's not those exact properties. It's its own thing. But it looks great. And I'm just like, kind of digging the art style, kind of digging the concept. I'm gonna have to watch.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to watch this one.
I'm looking at screeners on it. That's
Yeah, I even mentioned it to my wife while we were in the shower. She hasn't seen anything on it, but I just mentioned, like, I was talking to you now, and she was like, Harvest Moon and Final Fantasy. It's about time somebody put those together. That sounds like a good idea. It's like what she told me in the shower. And I was like, yeah, like, it's kind of wild. So, I don't know. Just throwing it out there. Something to think about.
If you like those farming simulators.
Sure, and I suppose it's
and a
like
little high fantasy on it.
The JRPG part of it is probably going to be great. I think it would be whether or not they could nail the fun of the farming simulator. Because my opinion of those type of games, and I played like Stardew Valley and I've played Harvest Moons before, is the fun of those types of farming games. Not the Farm Simulator 2022 ultra realistic, ridiculous shit that my friends are trying to get me to play on Game Pass, and I'm like, no. I don't want to do that. They're like, but it supports up to 16 players. And I was like, no.
Yeah, find
Nope.
find
If I'm
another
gonna
one.
do that,
You've got plenty of room.
I'm gonna go to many of my other friends and my parents' ranch and fucking do it for real. Get an actual life skill out of it. Thank you. But the fun of like Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley is that it's like cute, or it's that chasing of stats to get better that's inherent to RPGs that makes it, more appealing than an Excel spreadsheet, I guess. So, I don't know. We'll see. Yep. Terrible note to end the show, but here we are.
I think that's perfect note. Have anything to say on that game in the future?
Yeah. We totally forget about it, never mentioning it.
Maybe.
It happens. It happens. Well, I, for one, I'm going to end the show by thanking you for your continued ability to be my stalwart co-host and be generally so timely and communicative, and I don't know what your weather's like. I assume it's just fucking hot as balls down there. You got clouds?
We were happy that we capped out at like 93 today. That's a cooling trend.
See, our weather's been so wacky. So we had like 3 90-degree days last week. Beginning of this week, we had rain. Then it was muggy heat.
Yeah, we had thunderstorms.
Awful.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of overcast like yesterday. And then today was overcast as well. But then we just got the alert that there's supposed to be like fucking thunderstorms tonight, which I don't see having started yet. But I'm like, on the one hand, bad. On the one hand, good because of its proximity to the 4th and having wet when there is fire for our poor overworked firemen.
Yeah, we're gonna have people. We already have people throwing shit in the air, and it's dry and windy. Exactly what you don't want it to be.
Yeah. Hey, tell California for me. Do me a favor. Don't light yourselves on fire this year, so that you guys smog up Washington. Can you guys do that for me 1 year, please? 1 year.
We'll try. We fail, but we'll try.
Yeah. You guys are so dry over there. So, but yeah, like keep I don't know, kicking your job's ass, and
Yeah.
keep your chin up and your skies blue in your head. I don't know. I'm trying to say something nice. God damn it!
Yeah.
It's just
That
not
that
getting
horse
there.
is the horse died.
The horse died.
The horse died.
Well,
no, I appreciate it, and again, like I love doing this. We were doing that weekly grind for a minute, and that was just so daunting. But yeah, I think we've settled in every 2 weeks. It works out well.
In general, yeah.
So
I feel it does work out well. And it
we can be
definitely.
a little off topic sometimes because 2 weeks of stuff is ruminated.
That's true. We can be behind the 8 ball on certain things for sure, as what will happen.
Yeah, it's fun. I love doing it. I love spending these chats with you.
I'm glad, man. We'll keep on doing it as long as your fire pit in your background burns, which I guess is dependent on the Duplo block in your computer. As he rubs the mic with his beard, his scraggliness.
Scraggly gray Josh Brolin knockoff beard.
Something like that.
All right, Fork fam.
All right. Well, this is Tim K. Trotter signing off. Check out all of our stuff at Dynamicworksproductions.com. As far as I know, the website still works. I haven't checked it in a while. I assume it's fine. After I fixed it 3 months in to having said I fixed it. And then there's Nate and go.
Oh, you can find me at all the places. Mostly in the Discord at NateFoo, N8FOO. You can find me on Twitter at GGN8FOO. And if I ever get off my lazy butt and stream, you can find me at Twitch. Nate. That's it for me.
It is hilarious that the feed on Skype, it bleeped out butt.
Yes.
I'm like, seriously, Skype? That's the thing? Butt is a 4-letter word, apparently. That is hilarious.
Right. It knew the context because it's not bleeping out the 3-letter butt.
That's so wild. Technology. It's gonna kill us.
Them bots are getting smarter.
Thank you for listening to a Dynamic Works production podcast. You can find our podcast at www.dynamicworksproductions.com. Feel free to email us at dynamicworks@mac.com.
Armada, the voice of Guybrush Threepwood, and you're listening to a Dynamic Works production podcast.
The Citadel, Arrival, is the first installment in a series of epic science fiction short stories reminiscent of the Pulp Fiction style. It's a fast-paced story that will take you through twists and turns that you will not expect, until they are thrust upon you with all the force, excitement, and chaos of a plasma cannon blast. The story follows Katarl, a nobody cog in the working wheels of a futuristic society run completely by Megacorp, a corporation that carefully runs and manages the lives of the people living under its sphere of power. On one of Katarl's few and far between days off from work, an outing he had hoped would be fun and relaxing turns into an explosive adventure that drags him kicking and screaming into situations and challenges that will make him question every aspect of his life. Watch this colorful tapestry unfurl as Katarl and his newfound allies find their way through this classic, yet oddly surprising tale of good and evil, where nothing is quite what it appears to be. That's The Citadel, Arrival, by author Tim K. Trotter, available right now on Amazon Kindle Store and iTunes iBookstore for only $2.99. I'm running my recordings now. They are rolling.
Likewise.
All the things. Peaks. I have the meter. I got the meter up in my bar.
Your video is frozen.
Is it?
There we go.
Okay. That's a Skype thing if ever I heard one. All right. Phone is on mute. Watch is on mute. All right. My camera acceptable to you this week, Nate? Well, I mean, you don't like it when I'm like this. Three phones? You have three phones? Why do you have two? I get. What's the third one?
Third one is my podcast.
What?
Talk about it.
Okay. I don't know what that means, but okay.
You will. You will.
Okay, cool. All right, so everything's good. Everything's rolling. Things are running. Everything's turned off.
Cut in?
Yep. You ready for a cut in?
Sure.
You're rolling on your end?
I am rolling on my end.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Cut in.
Cut in. All right, we're out of here.
Yep. All right. Stop it.
Dippity stoppity stoop.